So this will be part 2 of the 2.4 video lesson. In part 1 I talked about multiplying fractions together. Whether they had the same denominator or not, it didn't really make much of a difference. The name of the game there was simplification, finding what they had in common, top and bottom, numerator and denominator, and then eliminating those two parts. In part 2 we're going to talk about multiplication of decimals. So for example, let's do a simple one. Let's multiply 1.2 times 2.3. Now decimals are not the nicest things to work with, and multiplying decimals is equally as unpleasant. So the easiest way to work around this problem is to first figure out how many numbers you have in total after the decimal. Well, right here I have 1. Here I have another one. In total, I have 2. I have 2 numbers after that particular decimal. Let me do it in a different color just in case the pink doesn't come out very well. There we go. So I have 2 numbers after the decimal. Once I do this, I remember that, and I pretend that I no longer have the decimals. The decimals are gone. And I do my multiplication just like I would with any other number. Multiply 12 by 23, and then you can do your long multiplication. 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2. You get 6, 7, 2. So you get 276. Then you look at the number of decimals or numbers that you had after the decimal initially. You had 2, 1 and 2. And you add those decimals back to the answer. 1, 2. So your final answer is 2.76. Oop, there's no decimal there. Sorry. Now let's take a look at another example. Let's say I have 0.12 times, let's go with 3.56. Let's add a negative in there, make it a little fun. So first of all, I'm going to figure out the number of numbers I have after the decimal. 1, 2, 1, 2. So there's 2 here, 2 here, 4 in total. I'm going to remember this or put it on my paper, and I'll add that in later. Then I'm going to look at my signs. Negative times a positive. My answer has to be a negative. Rules of multiplication: when you multiply any integers with different signs, or rational numbers for that matter, if it's different signs, the answer is always negative. And in this case, it's different signs. Then, since I already took care of all that, I'm going to go ahead and do my multiplication like this. 12 times 356. I already took care of the sign. I took care of the decimals. I'll do my long multiplication. 12 times 356. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 here, 1 in reserve. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus that, 7. 5 times 2 is 10. 0, 1 in reserve. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 1, 6. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Bring everything down. That's 12. So 2. And then. So the answer is a negative, because I already figured that out. 4,272. How many numbers do we owe? Sorry, how many decimals do we owe? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my final answer is a negative 0.4272. So in situations where you're multiplying decimals, first, if there's a sign, figure out your sign. Then count the number of numbers that come after the decimal. In this case it was 2, in this case it was 4. Write that to the side. Then pretend that you don't have any decimals and do the multiplication as if the numbers were integers as opposed to rational numbers. So instead of 1.2 and 2.3, I have 12 and 23. Instead of 0.12 and 3.56, I have 12 and 356. Do your multiplication like you normally would using long multiplication or stacked multiplication. And then when you have your answer, add as many decimals as you had numbers after the decimal. I had 4 numbers after the decimal. I add 4 decimal places. I had 2. I had 2 decimal places. And that's it. You're done. That's the simplest way to multiply decimals. So thank you very much for watching this. There's going to be another video that will go over all of the homework problems assigned with this section. All 8 of them will work out. So look for that in a post right after this on my site. Thank you.